My entitled stepmother, she tried to seduce somebody in my life, and guys, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't just sit by and let her take advantage of my father like this. He's clueless, he's a floor mat, he gets walked all over, and I won't let this happen. So I know a little secret about her, and I decide to expose it.
Hello, everybody. So, I'm 24. I'm writing this post today because I need to get this off my chest and maybe help somebody out of some sticky situation, and honestly, I just want to vent. So, my stepmother, Samantha, seduced and tried to get with my future husband, James. And she thought that she'd have zero consequences, but it turns out my father found everything out, and now they're probably going to get a divorce. Did I go too far in leading my father to find out that she was cheating? Or did I do the right thing? So, I've never actually liked my dad. That's something I've never really hidden. I grew up with my mother. My parents separated shortly after my birth and leaving me with my mom. He rarely came to visit me, even though we lived in the same town. My mother had nothing to say to him that was nice, so she'd say nothing. My dad would send money, and I'd see him at the parent-teacher meetings sometimes, but he'd briefly talk to me there, mostly about how weak I was academically. Turns out he was there at the PTM for his other kid, who was a senior in the same school. My mother died when I was around 13, and I was forced to move in with my father. For years, our relationship was strained, and it felt like nothing could bridge the gap between us. He'd refused to talk to me, and he'd never really shown me love, so it wasn't fair for me. He'd show love and affection to his other son, but never to me, and it really hurt me. I guess all those years of separation created a disconnect between me and him, and that's why we never really got along. He never understood how to raise a daughter, and he was really confused around me most of the time. Living with my dad after 13 years of being raised by a single mother was a journey full of mixed emotions. It was definitely a transition that I had both longed for and feared, and the disconnect between my father and me added an extra layer of complexity to the experience. For as long as I could remember, it had been just me and my mom. She was my rock, my confidant, my source of strength. In her, I found all the love and support I needed, and together we created a world where we were each other's everything. But as the years passed, I could not help but wonder about the other half of my identity, my father. My dad has always been somewhat of a mystery to me. The occasional phone calls and visits during the holidays did not bridge the gap that had grown over the years. I knew him as a distant figure. Somebody who was present but absent at the same time. My mom rarely spoke of him, and when she did, it was often with a tinge of bitterness that hinted at a troubled past. As I entered my teenage years, my curiosity about my father piqued. I wanted to know who he was, what he liked, and whether we had any common interest. I yearned to understand why he had been absent for most of my life, and that's when the idea of living with him began to take root. The day I moved in with my father was a whirlwind. Excitement, anxiety, and hope. All was bubbling inside me as I stepped into that house. I could not help but notice the unfamiliar surroundings, the different routines, and the absence of my mom. Her comforting presence, it was a stark contrast to the life I've known. My dad was awkward and unsure, just as I was, I suppose. The disconnect between us was palpable. We were strangers sharing a space, trying to navigate some sort of new dynamic that neither of us could even grasp. He had these habits, and I had mine, and it often felt like we were two puzzle pieces that did not quite fit together. Communication was a challenge. We had to learn how to talk to each other, how to share our thoughts, our feelings, and how to bridge the gap that, well, wasn't there. He was honestly really rude to me, and I don't really think he knows how to raise children. He would insult my passions, never respect my choices. He hated the fact that I wanted to be a veterinarian doctor. He keeps saying that's not a real doctor, and honestly, it's annoying at this point, so yeah, I've never liked him. And he's always made fun of me academically, saying that I don't have any lick of common sense, which hurts. He has particular ways of thinking, And when somebody else does not a thing that he thinks that they should do or have the same train of thought as him, he can't comprehend how they work. I think the relationship between me and him has always been very financial. He thinks that raising a child is a financial obligation and a transaction-based. He expects me to be grateful that he's paid for everything for me, but would not provide me with love and affection when I truly needed it. So I don't really think we have that sort of father-daughter bond. And to be very honest, I don't think he's really done much, because I paid for my own education and worked jobs constantly to provide for my lifestyle. Samantha's been around even longer than I have, and my dad had an affair with her before I was born and had a child with her. She's always discriminating between me and her own kids, and I've never really seen him as a brother either. But that's fine. I mean, I don't really care, but I don't like the way she raised him, and I don't like the way she treats my father either. She's a woman who's never been faithful to her husband, my dad. I've known about her infidelity for years, but I've chose to keep it a secret, as twisted as that may sound, by the way. For a bit of context, she's had one little son and one son who's older than me, who was born out of an affair with my dad. I know. It might sound like I'm being a little bit of an a-hole, but not telling father that she was cheating all along, I saw the effects that it had on me as a daughter of a single parent. I did not want Samantha's son to go through that. Also, my father cheated on my mother, and then he was getting cheated on by the person that he cheated on by my mom with, and it was all just really complex, and I just stayed the heck out of it. I couldn't care less, to be honest. Growing up, I watched my father fall head over heels for every single day. He was a kind gentleman who had been through his fair share of heartbreak before, and I just hoped that he had finally found the happiness he deserved. But there was something about her that just rubbed me in the wrong way, something that made me suspicious from the very beginning. Samantha was a beautiful woman, with a magnetic charm that drew people towards her. She had a way of making everybody believe that she was pure and virtuous, and a saint in the eyes of the world. Yet behind closed doors, she was far from that ideal. Samantha was this annoying master of deception, a puppeteer of sorts who expertly manipulated those around her, especially my father. The first time I caught wind of her infidelity was when I overheard her talking to one of her friends on the telephone. I was young back then, barely a teenager, and I didn't fully comprehend or understand the implications of what I was hearing at the time, but as I grew older, I realized Samantha had been carrying these multiple affairs behind my father's back for years. She'd talk right over my head as if I couldn't understand what she meant with so many guys. It's like she thought I was a little girl that could not understand that she was actively cheating on Dad with multiple men, and she talked to her friends about it like it was nothing, simple gossip in the air. She even talked to the guys right in front of me one time on a call. It wasn't just the infidelity that grated on my nerves, it was her audacity to flaunt it in my father's face. I mean, she would leave notes in the open, send these explicit texts to her secret lovers, and even take calls as she's sitting across the dining table from father. It was like she was taunting him, daring him to say something, confront her maybe. My father, he was oblivious to it all. Blinded by love and trust, he believed every word she said and seemed genuinely happy. It was hard to watch, but I still kept silent. As much as I disliked my father, I could not bring myself to care enough and hurt him that way. Samantha's son often had his friend over, and one of those friends was James. He came around often, and I guess Samantha and James got along really well. But James just always looked at Samantha as a mother. Whenever he would come over, we'd have these sneaky glances and random touches from the popcorn bowl while we were watching movies together. I had a major crush on James, and eventually I asked him out, and yeah, we've been on ever since. We've even gone to prom together. So, James has always been a member of this family, and that's why I find it so weird that she tried to hit on her son's friend. Well, years passed, and things took a turn for the unexpected. I fell in love. and became engaged to this wonderful person, James, of course. He was everything I could have ever hoped for, and we were blissfully happy together. Our relationship, it was this contrast to what I witnessed between my dad and Samantha. See, Samantha always has taken a keen interest in James. She would flirt shamelessly in front of me, trying to get a reaction, and I suppose she saw it as a game to her of sorts, a way to feed her insatiable ego. But it was the moment she attempted to seduce James that I knew I could not remain silent a second longer. One evening, we were at a family gathering. Samantha had been drinking, of course, a bit too much. She cornered James when I wasn't around and made her intentions very crystal clear. She took advantage of a moment when I was briefly occupied and she found herself alone with James. Samantha's body language and seductive gaze were impossible to ignore to poor James. She leaned in close to him until he was uncomfortable. Yes, this is sexual harassment. Her words laced with a flirtatious tone, and her hand gently grazed his arm as she laughed at something that he said, her touch lingering just a moment longer than necessary according to James. James was caught off guard. He had never encountered a situation like this before, especially with a family setting. He's deeply in love with me, and obviously has no interest in Samantha. But her advances were uncomfortable and unnerving, and at that moment he felt confusion, discomfort, and a growing sense of alarm. He told me he felt violated, and it really hurt me that a woman can get away with this. It's truly unfair to a man that they have to face this with no justice, and it's not talked about enough. He realized that Samantha's intentions were anything but innocent. He wasn't sure how to respond without causing a scene or upsetting me, and he certainly did not want to reciprocate Samantha's advances. As Samantha continued to push the boundaries, James' discomfort intensified. He excused himself using a polite but firm tone and quickly retreated from the situation. He found me and shared the unsettling encounter, knowing that honesty was the best course of action. Disturbed by her advances and unsure of how to handle the situation, the truth will set you free. It was a final straw. I could not allow her to destroy my happiness, jeopardize my relationship with James. It was time to put an end to Samantha's reign of deception. I decided to take an indirect route. I knew that revealing Samantha's infidelity to my father would be a double-edged sword. It would devastate him, but I also understood that he simply needed to know the truth. So I began to gather evidence discreetly, documenting her liaisons with her various lovers and gathering incriminating messages and photos. The moment of truth came when I stumbled upon a text exchange between Samantha and her latest boy toy, a man named Richie Rich. The messages were very explicit and left no room for doubt, so I took a screenshot, printed them out, ready to expose her. One evening, while my father was out of town on a business trip, I invited Samantha to my home. As she arrived, I calmly led her to the living room. "Sit down." I couldn't hide the anger in my eyes as I confronted her, showing her the damning evidence I've collected. Her expression went from a shocked look to a panic look as she realized the game was up. Samantha tried to deny everything, but the evidence is here, irrefutable. I could see the crocodile tears coming now as she sobbed, confessing to her infidelity. I didn't feel any satisfaction in her pain. I just wanted the truth. I told Samantha that she had a choice to make. It's easy. Either she could confess her infidelity to Dad herself, or, I could do it for her. Well, what do you think she chose? Well, I gave her the ultimatum, and she had a week to tell him. If she failed to do it, I would be there to expose her infidelity to the entire community and absolutely ruin her. It was a long week of waiting and watching, wondering if Samantha would keep her promise. My dad returned from his trip blissfully unaware of the storm that was brewing, but turns out I did not have to use my blackmail after all. When my dad came home from his trip, the first thing he walked into the room was James, trying to run out of Samantha's arms, and he kept thrashing around like a penguin with no ice. And she kept grabbing him and trying to take his clothes off. My father saw it all. I don't really know what my dad thought at the moment, but he just put his bag down, left the room, and disappeared for the entire day.
Later, when he came back home, he sat James down and had a conversation. And then he called me and Samantha. I showed him all the evidence that I've collected from chit-chats with Richard and other men. Pictures, explicit ones. Hotel receipts. I had everything to show him, but he wanted to have it from Samantha. And then Samantha finally told him what she's been doing all these years. Samantha confessed to him, and I could see the absolute destruction, the devastation in his eyes. He was heartbroken, but he deserved to know the truth. As the days passed, Samantha's confession was heavy on her. She realized that her actions had consequences not just on her relationship with my father. No. Her entire life. I still don't understand why she ever cheated, and I don't understand why she never thought of consequences. How is it okay to be actively cheating on the person that you love and have children with? Was it some sort of weird kink? Could she just not help herself? I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever understand. It's not very emotionally mature, is it? I don't want to judge her anymore. I just want her out of my life. And James' life, obviously. The poor thing is so traumatized. If my father had not walked in that day, I don't know what would have happened with James. He's had non-consensual sexual encounter with somebody before, and he panics and freezes as a response. I can't watch him with fear in his eyes every time she turns around. As for Samantha, her life has officially crumbled to pieces, and the consequences of her actions are literally a reminder of the price one pays for betrayal and deceit. It was a lesson she's hopefully going to carry for the rest of her days. My dad's looking for divorce, and maybe he's going to seek custody of their younger son. Obviously, the older son lives alone, so there's no question about that, and adultery is a crime in my state, so I don't know what's going to happen to Samantha, to be very honest. Is my dad going to press charges? Does James want to press charges? I don't know. In the end, I indirectly led my dad to discover Samantha's infidelity, and it shattered their relationship forever. It wasn't a situation I'd ever wanted to be in, but it was a necessary step to protect my own happiness and the man that I loved. Sometimes, exposing the truth is the only way to find closure and move forward. Okay, that's it for now, guys. Maybe I'll provide updates on what's going on later. Thank you. Toodles. Oh, yeah, also, some insight would be appreciated, because I'd love to know whether I was right or wrong, or what our legal options here are even. Update number 1. Hey, I'm back with another update, and I've thoroughly enjoyed reading through every single comment, and I think I've learned a lot. Thank you for the legal advice. We're following through on most of it, and we're almost done with the process. A lot of you have said that I'm the bad guy for not telling father sooner, and just letting it get out of hand as to let my boyfriend be assaulted by my mom. Stepmom. I honestly agree with you. I hate that I let it get this far, and I hate that I let James get hurt. I should have said something the very first moment when she's gotten drunk and tried to hit on him. I should have put my foot down. I guess I was focused on revenge, too much to notice how hurt he was. But even if she had not hit on my boyfriend, I still should have told that because, well, how am I letting this woman live with my father? Adultery, like I said, is a crime in my state, and she's not only facing criminal charges, but obviously has also faced the prospect of divorce, financial penalties, lost custody of her son, and social ostracism. Samantha's world simply crumbled around her feet. She'd lost the man that she manipulated for years, and her secret life was exposed to the public eye. The legal consequences loomed large, and her affair partners began to distance themselves, obviously, afraid of being implicated in her downfall. So, the divorce proceedings were messy, with my father seeking retribution for absolute years of deception. Samantha's being charged with adultery, and the legal battle over alimony payments and child support, well, I'll just be honest with you, was brutal. The court deemed her an unfit mother, considering her reckless behavior and lack of morality. She was ostracized by our community, and her social circle disintegrated. Friends who have once been captured by her charm now shunned her,
Our small town is small and word spreads fast like a fire. Nobody will talk to Samantha, and I feel really bad for her kids because her little one's getting bullied in school right now. Obviously, my father's there for him because he won custody, and Samantha's with her mother right now, I think. She's lost all her friends, and people gossip about her damn near 24/7. Even my father's getting annoyed at this point, and he barely leaves the house, so imagine the level of gossip. Honestly, though, I feel no guilt or sympathy because what she did with my dad was not cool, and what she did with James was even worse. At least for me, I guess. James and I have postponed the wedding, and we're taking it slow right now. We were supposed to get married a month or two ago, but right now, I think I'm bonding with my father, and I'm really, really trying to get with him and be there for him, no matter what. He loves Samantha very much, and I think he's suffering a huge loss right now. So it's really important that I spend as much time with him as I can. I'm also helping with his kids, and I think maybe, just maybe, I can fix my relationship with my father after this. He's still as annoying as ever when it comes to my ambition and career, and he doesn't approve of it all at all. But I guess I'll overlook that for now. I mean, we can't have everything, can we? Okay, I guess that's it for this update. I'll let you know if anything new comes up. Bye, guys. Update number 2. Hello guys, how's it going? I'm back with the brand new news. James and I got married. We're actually on our honeymoon right now. Also, my father has a new girlfriend, which is cool, I guess. It's been 3 months since their divorce, and she's been taking care of Ben, Samantha, and Dad's son really well. I haven't heard of Samantha much, but last I heard she's getting therapy and she's really trying to do better. Good for her. I honestly always thought that there was some sort of mental disorder that would make her so sexually hyperactive. Of course, that's no excuse for cheating on somebody and being an infidel. I think we should all go to therapy, to be honest. My dad definitely needs therapy, and so do both of his sons. You see, James has been going to therapy for several years now because he was depressed. Of course, he's doing a lot better now, and I think I should get therapy too because I haven't processed a lot of grief. I wasn't sad when I lost my mother. I was numb to it. A lot of those emotions are suppressed, and I think I need therapy to make my relationship with my father better. I think my dad needs to go to therapy so that he learns not to shove his opinions on other people. He also needs to process losing his first wife. I mean, first a divorce, then she died, then he suddenly had a daughter that he never had to take care of before. And all the trauma that Samantha's given my father needs to be processed. Mental health is important, and we overlook it often. I think seeking help and staying mentally healthy can solve a lot of problems before they happen. Maybe Samantha and father would have a healthy relationship if Samantha had just gone to therapy to see what her issue was when it came to being faithful. Now she could have saved her relationship and saved all the pain that my father had to go through. Anyways, I think this is a new chapter for all of us right now, and I'm just trying to enjoy my honeymoon. I'm glad my father's moved on and is now enjoying his life. I'd say I wish the best for Samantha in her life, but honestly, she's done with half her life, and the rest of her life she just deserves to get karma for what she did. Yeah, whatever, I'm petty as hell. I'm vengeful. And I'm mad. I'm definitely not the better person. I hope she gets cheated on by somebody she truly loves. Okay, y'all, I'm going to the beach. So I think that's it for this update. Wrap it up. I'm too drunk for this. Bye-bye. Update number 3. Well, hello people. I'm here with my very last update. You see, I had to add this. Samantha was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I heard from James's mother that she's taking medicine and getting the proper help that she truly needs for it. Right now, she's actually on a meditation cruise. I mean, I'm glad that she's getting the help she needs, but why didn't she do this 2 decades ago? Anyways, no point in being mad, I guess. I'm expecting. That's right. I'm with a child. I'm pregnant. Drop your congratulations in the chat, or else I'll be upset. Just kidding. No, I'm not. Anyways, I've opened up my own vet clinic. It's actually doing pretty well, because there wasn't a vet clinic in my locality before. All the pet parents in here were just winging it, and not getting checkups for their pets. So I guess that's one way I can give back to the community. In actuality, I'm earning a lot of money right now. So I'm putting it all in my savings and investing in a lot of stocks so that I can give my child a happy life. My dad is still with the woman that he got with 3 months after the divorce of Samantha. Her name is Mavis. She's actually pretty young, 15 years older than me. She's drop-dead gorgeous, though, and Ben seems to get along with her well. It's like they're a little family now. Samantha has visitation, but she hasn't used it. I feel sorry for Ben because he deserves to see his mother at least once or twice a week. If not that, then at least twice a month. Well, at least he's getting that love from Mavis, and I convinced my father to go to therapy. I thank us, and, well, it's getting much, much better now. I've realized the disconnect between my father and me isn't just about the physical absence, it's also about the emotional gap that needs to be bridged. I understand now how much I yearn for his validation, his approval, his love, just as I've received from my mother. It's a longing process that I can't put into words, and it leaves me feeling vulnerable and exposed. As the weeks turn to months, the disconnect is slowly diminishing. My dad and I are starting to find common ground, share experiences, and have moments of connection. We laugh together, we have heartfelt conversations, and discover similarities we share. It's a process of mutual understanding and adjustment, one that requires patience and effort from both sides. Living with my dad teaches me that family isn't just about the people who have been there from the beginning, but also about the ones who are willing to make an effort to come in, be a part of your life. The disconnect that once defined our relationship is gradually transforming into a bridge, connecting us in a way I've never imagined. Anyways, yep, last update. I'll keep answering some stuff in the comments, however, because this post is really blown up, and I can see that a lot of you are heavily invested in this plot. Thank you guys for following my life. Bye-bye.
Well, honestly, guys, I don't know what Samantha was thinking. There's no way you can just live such a deceitful life for this many years and just expect there to be no consequences like OP was saying. I mean, eventually time is going to catch up with you, and the more lies and deception and bad karma you throw up into the air, it's going to come back around and get you. Let me know your thoughts about this story. Also, let me know your thoughts about OP and how she went about handling it. I'm just proud that OP was able to open that veterinary clinic that she wanted to open so bad. Guys, once again, thank you for joining me on today's video. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories just like this one every single day. Mother-in-law disputes, inheritance dramas, cheating stories. I mean, we really cover a lot. So if you want to be a part of these daily videos, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.